Carlsbro CS50. This is the 50 watt version. We did a 100 watt version of this some time ago on the channel. We completely restored the other one. This is one of my own amps, and I intend on using this for gigging. So I bought this as non-runner or running very sick. So we'll just have a look before we get to powering it up. So it's got a top cut on it, and bass, treble, volume 2, bass, treble, volume 1. So 2 channels and a top cut on there. Very simple amp, 4 inputs, on off switch, pilot light, usual deal. This amp is from around late 60s, I think, maybe 1970, but I think this one is also quite heavy as well. Or I'm just getting poony in my old age. I've already taken the back off. There we go. Let's just go in a bit closer so we can. So actually, let's just prop that. Go back a bit so it might be out of focus. See, so there we go. You can see the Carlsbro sound equipment logo on the back there. Manufactured in England. These were actually made in the village that I grew up in, Kirkby in Ashfield. That's where the factory was, right up until it closed. But we are going to plug this in and test it. But before we do, we're going to get it out of the chassis. Sorry, we're going to get the chassis out of the cabinet. It's 20 past 11 at night, so it's late, and I'm talking waffle. We've got it out its case. We're having a look inside, a bit of an inspection. So we've got these Hunt's capacitors, 50 plus 50, and they are in series. Only 350 volts working. So this looks like a rather modest turret board. Not sure what's going on with those. Oh, I can just see the eyelets now. Not a lot in this really. Very simple design. Nothing particularly jumps out at me. That looks a bit gungy, but we're going to be changing all of those anyway. So those will be 50 microfarad a piece. This I think is 20 plus 20, although they've pinned it down so we can't see it, but I think it's 20 plus 20, that one, and this one is 50 microfarad at 150 volts. I think we'll plug it in on the current limiter, of course, and see what we get. Got the bulging cable plugged in and the speaker connected. Just going to flick a bit of power on. We've got a 40 watt bulb in the current limiter. I'm just looking at that. Is that going dim? It is going dim. 120 volts we've got going into this amp, but that should reduce when we start getting a bit of conductance. No standby switch on this amp, but we won't get into that debate. 141, 142 now, drawing 100 milliamps, and you can actually see on there, hone in, you can see there, that's what I use there for the to monitor the wall voltage and current. So now it's dropped to 114 volts, so those twos must be having a bit of a swage. Let's get the volumes up. Right, that's all looking good. Just going to put a 100 watt bulb in now. I'll take the 40 out, put 100 in, and then we'll start adding bulbs with that one This is a 2-bulb current limiter that I've got here. Most of you have seen that before if you watch the channel enough. I think we've got sound, you know. Yes, we have. It's coming up. 250 milliamps. That seems quite a lot. That 100-watt bulb is glowing. Not bright, but it's soaking up a bit of current. So I think one of these tubes is not clever. Let's just see. Oh yes. Yes, we just definitely got sound. So see, let's just flick the lights out, see if we've got a red plating tube. Yes, that tube doesn't look very healthy. I think we'll unplug because I think one of those tubes is kaput. Right, we've got the output tubes out. And I'm just going to drop down to a 100-watt bulb. So we've got 148. You can't see the meter case. Just put the meter where you can see it a little better. So I'm testing now. So testing on the diode. Right, let's just see if we've got AC coming off there. Yes, we have 342 volts. So what we got the other side of the resistor, 182 volts. So that is the drop-in resistor. You can see there, that's the drop-in resistor from the AC feed. So this gets its bias feed from one side of the secondary on the power transformer, and there is 340 coming off that secondary, and then that resistor there, which is 180k, drops it to 183 AC. We've got 184 there, so we need to go on to DC because we're going now the other side of the diode, and we've got nothing. And oh, we have got something there. It's a very strange reading though, it's all over the place. Right, tack the diode in. Let's plug in again. And let's see if we've got bias volts now. No. So we've lost the ground on the bias then. Yeah, we've got ground on that capacitor there. So we have got a ground. Let's do some continuity test just to get the plug out of there. So from there, from the diode there, got the wrong probe there really, but never mind. So from there, yeah, we've got continuity there. But we must have a capacitor to ground, and I don't see that unless it's tucked under there somewhere. Oh, it is tucked under there. That's what I'm looking for. Thinking it's got, where's the capacitor, the resistor to ground, sorry, not capacitor to ground, resistor to ground. There has to be one on the bias. So, well, that's 47k, and that resistor is measuring 106. So I wonder if that cap has said good night. So we're going to unsolder it. I was wondering where the resistor to ground was, and then I just suddenly realised I mounted the cap over it. And there we go. See on the meter, -33. So this cap, it looks like it's shorted, or well, whatever. It must something's. Where we got? We should have it there. Yeah. -33. Let's see if we've got that on the grids. Should have. Yep, -32 on the grid. So that cap looks like it's shorted out and said good night. Oh, there we go. Let's take him out. Right, just take that 100 microfarad in there and we'll look again. See if we've got bias. Now we've got that in there. Oh, no. Why is that then? Or have I not? Oh, you plank, you've got it on resistance. Yes, and there we go. There's our bias voltage. So that capacitor was blown, and that's what was causing the problems. We now have bias, so we'll stick the tubes back in. So yes, the current limiter saves the day again. Current limiter 1, amplifier 0. Right, just put 160 watt of bulbs in it, and that's much better now. We've only got couple of hundred milliamps now on there. 110. Some humming there. Some frying as well. So although I am going to restore this amp, I wanted to diagnose that fault, so I know what the problem was with this amp. Right, it's a good few months later. I shelved this project. Now I want to get this amp done. I want to use it on a gig in 2 or 3 weeks time. 3 weeks time. So we've got to change these 47s, and I've got a couple of 22s for that, and we've got this to put in. So these are actually 50 microfarad, but as this is my amp and I've had these in stock for a while, these are hundreds, and I'm going to put these in. So yeah, I'm just going to cut these out. Now when you work on these amps, sorry, I'm just on a handheld as well, I've not got the tripod, actually outside, and you can see Pink's bowls over there. Well, 2 of them. That one's an old bowl, and they're the newer ones. When you're working on these, you need to take these boards out, really, because you can't solder in straight into these without checking underneath. You know, you can get solder drips, and if they go all the way to the chassis, they'll cause a short. And also there's a lot of wires under there, so when you're pushing these into the holes, you need to make sure you've not pushed the wire out. Can't really see that. And you can see those now, we've got them out. You can see they're not healthy at all. Yeah, ready to vent their spleen. In fact, they've already started, 3 of them, and the other one's not far behind the 20 microfarad. So we've got 4 bolts in this board. We've got 1 here, here, and 2 here. It looks like they're only going to be restricted by this wire and this wire, and you can see some ones had that off before, and they've just tacked it on there instead of pushing it in the hole. All looks a bit botch. We'll test these 2 resistors. These are drop-in resistors. Better clean it up a bit as well, hadn't we? Now here comes Pink. $22k, red, orange. 25k, so we'll be replacing him, and 47k is 57k, so we'll definitely be replacing him as well. And we'll replace these diodes while we're at it, because they've been in there for 60 years, near enough. although they work okay, as we know. But there we go, we've got the board up, you can see, and we've got dust everywhere under there. Just get some alcohol on here. So I've just removed the leads on the caps when I cut them off. I took the 22 out. Just getting across here now. I'm going to take this out. Just get all this rubbish out. Clean the bottom of the board. So let me get all of this out. Now there's only 3 caps now instead of 4, because I've stuck one up the vacuum cleaner because I'm a plank, and it had rolled under there, and I was hoovering under there, and I heard something go waft up the hoover, and then I suddenly realised I'd only got 3 capacitors now instead of 4. So I'm going to take the hoover to bits and retrieve it. It'll only be a bit dusty, so just polish it up. There we go, got those diodes out. Don't work outside very much at all, but very hot, so, and it's quite cool outside. Actually cooler than it is indoors. Now the sun has gone round the front. So what I'm checking is will two of those go in that hole? If not, then we'll have the 4007s in there instead of the 5408s. So you can see I've got these soldered up now, and I always go back and crown them. You don't have to. So I'll solder them first, and then when they cool down, you just go in with the solder like that and just crown them. Just looks a bit nicer. So that's the diodes in there. Well, the diodes for the power. We've got this diode for the bias to go in. To go in there as well. Need to just clean that up with the alcohol. So yes, it's now cooler outside than it is indoors, just a very, very light breeze. Barely noticeable, but so if we look at the bottom now, we can see certain things on here we need to make sure are connected and things aren't dry jointed, or you get this messy looking solder. So this here, that is the feed for the bias AC there, goes across to this resistor and then to the diode there, so that's what that's for. Oh, this keeps getting stuck. What if it ended up on that? So we need to clip all these off, and we can do that now, even though that one's not soldered. We can clip it. Clip all the ones we have soldered as well. And although solders don't look too bad, maybe that one just needs a bit of a touch up. That one's gone cold, so we'll probably just give him a dab with the iron. Right, there we go. It's looking a bit swaged, but we'll give him a polish. He'll be fine. Just a few of Shaft's hairs, the dog's hairs on it, but other than that, it's fine. Right, we'll solder those in, and that'll be a result. Now we need a couple of resistors as well. Right, so we've got the two resistors in there, and now we need to bring these, one from here to here, and see if we can get the other one in here to here. Should just about get, I think, if we put them like that, and then if we manipulate the legs, that one's got to go there. That right there. Yeah, that's feeding that. That's that node, so that goes there. Look at the ground here. I've just noticed that's just there. It's just going. It's just piled all the wires on there. That looks like they've just piled them onto a bolt or something. I don't know. That's a mess. Oh. Right, that's all the power caps in there, and yeah, that's all looking reasonable. Now we need to lift it up again, because we need to check underneath. And you can see we've already lost a wire there. No surprise there. In fact, that's the only one we have lost. We've done well. So you see, you do need to lift the board up when you do these. You just can't do these amps with the board down. People do, and they probably get away with it sometimes, but we wouldn't have done, would we? We'd have had a wire missing. We would. That wire's missing. I think I caught that with the cutters and cut it. So let's just follow that. I think that goes to there, and that will be firing up those resistors there. And there you go. Yeah, 91k. That's the plate. That's the feed for the plates for the phase inverter. That one. And that makes sense, because that first 22 dropper, and even though I've not got the schematic up, that's where that goes. Right, so I've got this one last wire to put back in, and that goes here into this 47k resistor, and that goes along here to these plate resistors here. So then this wire connects to this one across here, and that goes to the other two plate resistors you can see there and those there. So that's where that one goes. Pretty elementary on this amp. So I've changed a couple of plate resistors here, and we've got two more here, and then we've got the phase inverter ones as well. And I always change the plate resistors because I don't want them frying in 3 months' time. It's just easy to change them while I've got the board out. Now there's a few other things we need to test, like all of these resistors. We need to take these two caps out. These are 68 microfarad on these amps. We've got the meter there, and we'll flick it onto ohms, and we'll test a few of these resistors. So this is the bypass cap for the first stage, sorry, the cathode resistor for the first stage. That should be 1k, 1.3, but that's 10k, that's 10.8. What's this one? 47k. That's 52. These are on the tone stack. 56. Should be 47. What we got here? 11. So they're all out really. Most of these resistors probably will be. That one's 1.2 as opposed to 1. Cathode resistors are not critical though. 2. What's that say? That should be 330k. Now that must be in connection with something then. 107, that plate resistor, they're out anyway. 107 again. 470 here. Again, that's connected with something, so we're not getting a reading. 105, that should be 91. 110, that should be 100. 1 meg, that's okay. 1 meg, that's okay. 10k, that's okay. 4.7, that's 5.6. He's not a lumberjack and he's not okay. $68k. That's 81k, unless that's connected with something else. 10k, 10.7, that's passable. 231. They're the grid link resistors for the output tubes. 275. Oh dear, they'll have to be changed, won't they? And 11.3, there's a 10k resistor down there. So yeah, to be fair, most of the resistors are no good. I don't think I'm going to change the cathode resistors because they don't really matter whether it's 1k, 1.2k, 1.3k. There's not a great deal of difference between those values. This one again here, these are on the tone stack. I think I'm going to leave these as well on the tone stack. Those two are coming out anyway, those two are coming out anyway. 11.4, that's 10k, that's on the tone stack. I think we'll leave that as well. This one, I don't know what this one's doing. Can't remember now. But he's a K out, so I think we'll change him. We'll leave him 10.3. We need to lift that and test it. That's on That's on the impedance selector. Is that negative feedback then? Yeah, so we do need to look at that. Some kind of negative feedback, I don't know, it's coming off of there. So I presume it's... And then these are the bias resistors here. Can't really see the meter now. And he doesn't want to give us a reading, does he? We need to disconnect the capacitor to get a reading off those. But these two are shot there. These two, these are grid stoppers for the output tubes. 11.3. Well, I'm not too concerned about those as long as they're roughly the same. 10.7 and 10.7. They're not a million miles out. If it was a customer's, I'd certainly be probably changing them, but it's mine, so I think we'll be okay with that. I'm going to go mad. Right, so I've got the other plate resistors in there now, so we've just got the phase inverter ones, and then all of those will be done. And then we've just got to do this resistor and these two after that, and that board should be about finished. Right, another day out here. We've been nibbling away at this amp, and you can see that now I've got this board more or less finished. So let's just go through what we've done then. So we've added an HT fuse, we've got the TDK caps in there, we've got the new caps to the output tubes, coupling capacitors from the phase inverter, got the new 47k bias cap in because that was out of spec, new oscillation cap on the phase inverter, new grid link resistors, they are out of tolerance as well. All the plate resistors have been changed. Got the 68 microfarad bypass caps on there. Boards back in. Now over here you can see, if we go in, you can see I've installed a couple of turrets. So these two turrets that I've added here are for the drop-in resistor for the bias circuit. So this resistor has AC across it, and it's taken from the secondary, one side of the secondary on the power transformer, and then we have a drop-in resistor to drop it down, then it's rectified, and then it goes onto the bias circuit here. So not sure what we'll need in there to set the bias for the twos, obviously. So we're going to use that to adjust the bias, and obviously having a turret, it's quite easy to change the resistor. I don't have to keep taking the board up, which is not really what I want to be doing. I don't want to have this board up again. But this is all finished now, this board. Obviously we need a fuse. Now the other thing we've got to do is wire up the power coming into it. So we've got the power fuse, we've got the IEC connector, and we've got this single red wire. Now we had a voltage selector on the back of here, but I've disconnected it all because it's not particularly safe, so I've removed that, and I've shrunk these cables. These are the other voltages we don't need, and this is the 240 volt feed. We've got a new switch in there. Well, it's one that I robbed off an amp that we was breaking, but it's a good quality switch, and it's yeah, it's a free, it's not a freebie. But so I've just got to clean up those terminals, and we're going to use that switch, and obviously it's a double pole switch there, so double pole single throw. We've got the pilot light here, so we've just got to wire all of this up, and then we should be ready for sticking some tubes in it. Right, I've got all the power wired up now, the grounding, switching, pilot light, fuse, got our HT fuse in, we've got a speaker connected up, we've got the output tubes in, pair of JJL34s, and we've got our bias, our AC feed for the bias resistor, drop-in resistor jumped in at the minute. And what we are going to do now is we're going to power this up steadily on the bulbs, and see how we do. Watch what bulb is in. Let's flick the switch and see what we get. Nothing. Nothing at all. What have I done wrong? What have I not plugged in? Well, I better do some investigating. Right, so we had this amp running obviously at the beginning of the video, and that was obviously some months ago from now. But for some reason we're not getting a... We've got these 4 wires here are the different voltage tap-ins. We've got 250 and the others here. I think green is 110, and then this black wire here, which I've peeled back to see if it was damaged. We're not getting any return through there back into the transformer, so I'm afraid the transformer is kaput. Now I don't know why that would be. It just never, as I say, we've done all this work and it's just never fired up, so something's gone open in there. We're getting voltage through here, we're getting voltage into the fuse, we're getting voltage to the switch down here, and I've got the bulbs on while I'm doing this 40-watt bulb, and I've actually got voltage from here to here, but obviously the bulb lights up, so that's creating a short, but that's telling me this wire's working. I've also got impedance readings between these wires, but the black wire I've got nothing. Using that and red is nothing, using that and the, well, dysentery beige is nothing, and using the green and blue, nothing. So it has to be that, because the black is the return to the transformer. So looks like I'm going to have to search for another transformer, and after doing all this work, and this is what happens sometimes, you know, you start out, you do all this work, you've run the amp up to make sure it works, you've took readings and impedance readings and things, and then you put the amp together, you restore it, run it up, and it just never runs. The transformer, you know, we've had no pops, no bangs, it's just open. As soon as we switched on, there was nothing. So a bit of a disappointment on this one for not being able to get this up and running, but I'm afraid that's going to have to do it for this one, because it's getting a really long video, and yeah, and now I'm going to go off and sulk. Yeah, so thanks for watching, you all take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye for now.